We are now going to use the 3D object that we have generated to apply various materials to. Materials are used to dictate how our object responds when it is hit by sources of light. At the moment, we're actually viewing our 3D viewports in what is known as solid view, but there are different viewport methods. We can see these various methods up here in the top corner of the 3D viewport. Currently, we're on solid viewport shading, but this can range from wireframe shading, which allows us to view our edges and vertices, but we cannot view our faces unless we go into edit mode. We also have solid view, which we've been working in so far in this class. Material preview allows us to view the materials themselves using a basic lighting setup. And then we have rendered view, which allows us to preview our object with both materials and the lighting that we have generated for our scene. For now, let's actually go into our material preview because we want to add a colour to our box object. And before we go any further, let's actually rename it as a box. I'm going to rename this as a plastic box. And the only reason why is because I have plastic boxes at home that have nice curved edges all the way around. So it reminds me of one of my own plastic boxes. Now I'm going to add my first material to this object. Go to this icon here in the properties panel. It's right towards the bottom and it looks like a red sphere. Left click and you will find the materials section of your properties panel. Click on the new button and this will add a material to your object. Now this has the name material.001. When you open up a project in Blender, your original cube is actually already going to have a material created for it, which is named as material. You can use any materials within your project that are available to you by going to this option here, which is a menu, left click and then choose the material that you want to use. For now we've created material.001 and I'm going to left click and rename this material. I want to give my box a bluish colour, so I'm going to name it as blue and press enter. But at the moment the colour isn't blue, it's white. If I want to change the base colour, I can scroll down to this option here. So we've got this white bar and we can left click on that bar to bring up our colour wheel. Now it's simply a matter of choosing which of these colours I want to use for my box. So I'm going to go with a very lightish blue. Something like that is pretty good. And it actually allows us to view the change in real time in our material preview. Note that if you go back to solid view, you will not see the materials. It just appears in its default shading. So if you want to view your materials, make sure you at least go to material preview. The materials will also be visible in your rendered view as well. So back to the material preview, we've created a material for our box. But let's say we wanted to create a different material for the bottom of our box. Well, to do that, we first of all need to create what is known as a data block to store the second material in. All of our materials are stored in these data blocks, and this allows us to use them across various 3D objects. It also allows us to use multiple materials per single object. I'm going to click on the plus button right here to add a new material slot. There's no material assigned to this slot just yet, so I'm going to click on the new button right here. Actually, let's veer away from that and let's use the original material that's created at the start of every project. I'm going to make this a red material, so I'm going to rename it as red and press enter. Next, let's change the base colour. Left click, select the colour you want to use, And there we go. But there's a problem. The second material has not been applied to our object. So how do we get it so that we can use the red material for the bottom of the box? The key lies in edit mode and the ability to select your geometry. Go into edit mode by pressing the tab key. From here, we're going to select the bottom face. Select the red material in your properties panel and you'll notice that we have the ability to assign, select and deselect our geometry based on our selected materials. As soon as I click assign, the red material is going to be added to my bottom face. Now if I go back into my original view, we can see that the bottom face has a red material. And also, because we're using the bevel modifier, a part of the bevel has also been given the red material as well. But that's okay for this scenario. Now let's say I wanted to create a material for the top faces that surround my box. We can just repeat the process. So we can add a new material slot. This time we've got to add new because we can't use either of the materials that we already have. So we'll add new, and this time I'm going to name it as a green material. Go to base colour, and let's create a green colour for our material. Go back into edit mode, and then we're going to select these 4 faces here. Now another method of selection that we've not demonstrated yet is the ability to select a loop. When you have a object that has faces of 4 sides, each face is connected by a single edge. And if we have 4-sided faces like we do here, we can create loops by using this edge flow. If I hold down the Alt key on my keyboard and then left click where we have one of these edges, we can select the entire loop. So now I've got my entire loop of faces selected. I can then choose my green material and select Assign. Now we've assigned the green material to the top of our box. So we've now got a blue box with a red bottom and a green top.